Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Moorland Climate Action's second Energy Day, and to our many guests from further afield, particularly to our friends from the colder side of Axe Edge, of which there are many. Welcome to the sunny resort town of Leek. And at this moment to Charlie Baker, the intrepid architect and community activist from Manchester, who is cycling at this moment to be with us. Hurry up. I think he's just past their McDonald's on the Leek Road. Welcome to the Foxlow Arts Centre, this lovely old building, lovely old and cold building, which is the heart of so much of what goes on in Leek and beyond, and which, with some hard work and perhaps a council grant, may one day sport solar panels and a heat pump. This is our second Energy Day. The first was devoted to renewable energy, and it's encouraging to note that since then we have seen decisive moves in the form of approvals for new solar PV facilities, battery storage, and I personally, well, I spoke, as you know, Tony, at planning, and I welcome the shift in attitudes. Today, as you know, is devoted to the subject of energy in the home. No one in this audience needs reminding of just how crucial this subject has become. We have amongst the worst housing stock in Western Europe. Staffordshire Moorlands, in fact, has some of the oldest, coldest and draftiest housing stock in the country, with energy efficiency ratings well below the average. You will see on some of the panels some of the detailed work that the council is doing on getting detailed information ready for the next wave of grants, which is Hug 2, shortly to be announced. Today has two purposes: to help members of the general public to learn how to control and perhaps reduce the energy use in their home, and also to bring people together from the Moorlands, from elsewhere in the county of Staffordshire and indeed beyond, to learn and share their experience. I hope we have managed to achieve that. If we have, in part it's thanks to the continuing support of Leek Building Society, the very model of a community-focused organisation. We also thank County Councillors Charlotte Atkins, Mark DeVille and Ross Ward for their support. That cross-party support, I think, is an indication of just how important this journey is to clean, affordable, security and secure energy, not just for action on climate change, but for social equity. We're glad to say that Staffordshire Moorlands District Council is now committed to focusing on district energy as one of the key areas of their climate plan. It's no secret we pressed for the council to move faster and harder. I sometimes think that MCA and SMDC are a bit like a long married couple. We fall out, we bicker at times, but we know we need each other, and maybe we'd even miss each other if either were gone. I personally pay tribute to the hard work of their climate officer, now a year in the job, who knows about energy and is determined, and that the Moorlands, and indeed our icy friends in the High Peak, do not miss out on the central funding opportunities when they emerge from the Whitehall mist. And to the resilience of Councillor Porter, who has so kindly agreed, perhaps like Daniel in the Lion's Den, to open this day for us and to provide living evidence of this council's commitment to this crucial part of our low carbon future. Joe.
Thank you very much, Mark, and thank you all for coming today. Thanks for inviting me to speak. I'm delighted to be here at the second ever conference that you've had. I'm joined today by my cabinet colleagues just at the back there, and the leader of the council is also here. And as Mark just mentioned, we've also got Gillian, our climate change officer, who's been in post for just a year now. So if you've got any questions, you want to speak to us about what the council's doing on climate change, or you've got any specific questions, please do come and speak to one of us. We're more than happy to answer any questions you might have or help you with any issues that you might have in the community. As we all know, climate change is one of the most important issues of our time, and obviously energy security is a very hot topic at the moment. We know with the cost of living crisis, this is particularly important, and we know that without tackling climate change, we can't address a lot of the issues we face when it comes to the cost of living crisis, and we've seen, you know, prices are going absolutely through the roof. Fuel poverty is affecting so many parts of the country, and people are really struggling at the moment. So these two issues, they all go hand in hand, and we've got to tackle them alongside each other. And I think here in the Moorlands, as Mark has already said, he's already illustrated the picture of the issues we face in the Moorlands. We do have a lot of fuel poverty. We do have a lot of old buildings, you know, and I think a lot of that, the issues that come with that, we need to address, and we need to address them in a unique way because we're a very rural area and we've got all these old buildings that need to be made more energy efficient, and that presents a lot of challenges for us as a district. As a district council, it presents a lot of challenges for us because we have a lot of buildings, and my cabinet colleague over there, Councillor Aberleit's, under his portfolio, we're doing a lot of important work to obviously make our buildings more energy efficient and obviously try and reduce our carbon emissions of all our council buildings in the coming years, because we know that as a district council we cannot hit our ambitious net zero targets without doing just that. Now, across the country, obviously we've got the cost of living crisis, and we all know that the UK was the first major economy to commit to net zero by 2050. It's something this country's taken a proud lead on across the world. Obviously, I know there's a lot of mixed opinions on the approach that's been taken by the UK, but I think on the global stage, we have persuaded 80% of the global economy to commit to net zero, and I think that's really important because unless we get those big players around the world on board with net zero, we cannot reach those ambitious targets. And it's really important that the UK continues to have that soft power on the world stage. And I think I want to pay particular tribute to Chris Skidmore, who I think has done an absolutely brilliant job of the net zero review over the last year. Many of you will probably have seen in the news that that's taken place over the last year. And what's really important about that net zero review is that it recommits the UK to that to the ambitious net zero targets, but in a business friendly way, because we need to make sure that as we tackle climate change we also grow the economy as well. And I think what's really crucial is that net zero, that transition to a net zero economy, that I would argue is the single biggest economic opportunity of the 21st century. And I think every country in the world, every community, every local area, we should all be embracing that opportunity, because it does give us that opportunity to grow the economy and get us back on track. You know, particularly at the moment where the economy is struggling, I think net zero provides us with a lot of those crucial answers. And I think it's really welcome that the UK government has just created a brand new department for energy security and net zero. I think that's really important because we need to make sure that nationally we have that clear framework, clear direction of where we're going, because I think at times it has been a little bit shaky, but I think it's now very clear that as a country we are solidly committed to net zero. Obviously there are different routes we can achieve that, but we are solidly committed to that. And I think as a district council here in Staffordshire Moorlands, we're very committed to this agenda. Whatever happens in the elections in May, I think every political party is very on board with this, because we've taken, as Mark has just said, we've taken a cross-party approach from day one, and obviously we've worked with MCA from day one, and I'd like to thank everyone from the MCA for all the hard work that you've put into this agenda over the last couple of years, because you have held our feet to the ground. You know, it has been tricky marriage, as Mark's just said at times, but I think that's important, because I think as elected representatives we need to be able to account on issues like this. It's something that matters to the residents of the Staffordshire Moorlands. They want us to leave the environment in a better state than we inherited, and I think it's really important that we're held to account for that, particularly in the upcoming elections. Now, across Staffordshire, I think we've taken a really good partnership approach. Obviously, we've got Staffordshire County Council in the room, we've got lots of different partners in the room from across Staffordshire, and one thing that we've done recently is we've formed the brand new Staffordshire Climate Commission, which is headed up by Professor Zoe Robinson, who's going to be speaking at today's event. myself and Councillor Simon Tang, who's my equivalent of the County Council, is the Cabinet member up there and leader of Newcastle Borough Council. We're working very closely with everyone across the county to make sure that we have a county-wide approach and that all the councils across Staffordshire are solidly on board with net zero and our ambitious climate change targets, and I think that's going really well. We've just got to keep going with it and we've got to all keep working together. I just want to briefly touch on a couple of things we're doing at the District Council that I think are really crucial for today's event. So I think we've just launched our brand new bold electric vehicle charging point strategy. So what we've done is we've agreed that 5% of all our District Council car parking spaces are going to have EV charging points installed in them. In most cases, we're going for the fastest possible chargers because we think that's the right approach. That's good for the economy, it's good for tourism, and it's good for tackling carbon emissions. So I think that's really good that we're doing that. We're also decarbonising our buildings, as I was saying before. So altogether, over a 2-year period, we're investing £4 million in climate action. A big chunk of that £4 million we're spending on decarbonising our council buildings. That also includes putting solar panels on our leisure centres. So Biddulph Valley Leisure Centre and Brough Park Leisure Centre, we're spending a significant amount of money on putting solar panels on those buildings, and also a number of energy efficiency measures, which I think is really important. We're also working very closely with your housing. So recently we've done a lot of meetings with your housing group because we want to hold them to account on those council properties. We want to make sure that they have an ambitious net zero strategy and that we're making sure those old buildings are being made more energy efficient. So we're working very closely with them. We've also got a very ambitious carbon literacy training programme. So across all our council, we've made sure that all our staff are trained with carbon literacy. We're just about to achieve silver. We're very close to achieving that. We've got bronze status, and we were the first council in Staffordshire to actually get that bronze status. And obviously we're trying to make sure that all the councils are on board with that. We've also got a climate change youth programme which we're just about to launch, and we're working with skivvies, Staffordshire Council and Voluntary Youth Services to make sure that our young people are equipped and trained in things like public speaking and campaign, so they can campaign on climate change issues and hold the council and government to account on those issues. And that's just a flavour of some of the things we're doing. We're doing an awful lot on this agenda, but those are the particular things that I think are relevant to this agenda. And if any of you have got any questions about the stuff that we're doing to support people with fuel poverty, please speak to my colleague Councillor Ward over there, who has the responsibility for communities within the council. So I think today's really important. It's a really good opportunity for all partners in the room to connect together on this very important agenda. I think, as I said at the beginning of my remarks, this is a very important agenda. It presents a very important opportunity, not just for tackling climate change, but also growing the economy and trying to tackle fuel poverty and support people through this cost of living crisis. So I think we've all got to keep working together on this agenda and keep that partnership work going. So thank you all for attending today. Please do come and speak to me and my colleagues and grab one of our climate change leaflets that we've got. I look forward to speaking to you all today. I can only stay for an hour because I've got to be in work for 12, but thank you for inviting me. Thank you.